see what happens is a lot of times people have not prepared themselves to do what your brother is talking about, and they actually hurt his life. They become offended to the religion. So they're the kind of people that stand out there and scream about how much rights they've got and break down doors and hurt people in the process. That's not the way of Islam. Does anybody know the hadith I'm talking about?
I just have a comment that I think in these cases it's easier for us to sit there and say, this way or that way, it's all the advice, but this is also a good opportunity for people who are going through this to talk to you or talk to people in this class in the community, that what are the ways to deal with certain situations, especially when you're trying to behaviors. And the students have
and we're all about that, providing counseling. I'll be out of school in 2 weeks and I'll be more available. Just be patient with me until the 5th or 6th of December. And I ask everybody to pray for me to get me through these exams on the 5th and 6th. And all of those, who's having exams in here besides me? Yes. So pray for all of us. That Allah will bring it to our memory, and pray for the teachers and ministers on the exam. So, you had a comment?
Yeah, the hadith you were referring to, the meaning of that is that if there's a pressure on you, you can stop by hand. If you cannot, then stop by your mouth by saying something. If you cannot, then at least think of that as you.
Right. Think about prayer, right?
No, think of that as this evil what's happening to you. That's the lowest part of Iman. Correct.
Thank you. Somebody had a question back here? Same hadith. Thank you, sister. Who else has their hand up? I don't want to miss anybody. Sister Susan?
A lot of the oppression that we get in this country is from fear and ignorance. People don't understand that all they have is the media. And you have to get past that fear. I have students every term that walk into class and see me, and the next day they just walk about one or two. I have 125 students. And it's fear. And that's what we have to address. That. Not what they're doing necessarily, but getting rid of that.
One of the things I want to say here is, if you're in, hold on a second, brother. If you're in the space to handle it, it's important. Because if you're not ready, hence you're not barter when you're involved with God for a trifling gain. I'm going to show you who's right. That's not about patience, and that's about anger. Everybody with me? When your heart is at dis-ease, when there's a malaise in your heart about dealing with your neighbor, then you know that you're on the wrong track. You need to go back and not deal with that situation until you have peace in your heart and you are strategizing according to istikhara, according to the Quran, according to the Sunnah. But as soon as you're angry and you're dealing with something, you need to withdraw until that is finished. Make sense, everybody? Because you will not, if you barter your bond with Allah by trifling, cursing the person across the fence, for example, you've lost your dignity. You have been a da'i for the religion that says we curse people out when they don't do what we want us to do.
Also, this is the best time to utilize what Imam Sykes has in place, the invite your neighbor flyer. Just, give those flyers to the whole neighborhood and invite the neighborhood. Chances are that neighbor will come or whatever, whatever, and then the da'wah for the whole neighborhood.
We have 5,000 door hangers waiting for you to invite me to your house. When I was a preacher, I used to get invited to everybody's house. I became an imam. I don't get invited to many people's house. I look at all my students, and I don't know what it is, but nobody wants to invite me to their home. Anyway, I eat, and I like to eat different people's food. Just bring that out there. I like invitations. I don't have any other practices. Okay, so verily, that which is with God is by far the best for you. That which is with God is patience and dignity. If you but knew, all that is with you is bound to come to an end, whereas that which is with God is everlasting. And most certainly shall be granted to those who are patient in adversity their reward in accordance with the best that they ever did. Always, 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 as a Muslim, you should be asking what is the best practice in this moment. What is the best thing that I can do? Somebody asked me a question last night. And they said, brother, so-and-so in my family was buried in a coffin. What should we do? And I said, well, first of all, where were they buried? Because certain water tables require a vault or the body will pop up off the ground, out of the ground, if there's a flood. So I had to get some facts before I could answer the question. There's no one answer in this town. You know, you have to look at other factors. But you always have to ask yourself, what is the best practice for my situation in my place? If you're not buried in a vault in Florida and the flood comes along, you're going to pop up out of the ground and have to be buried again. So we have to have some wisdom. In North Carolina, during Hurricane Katrina, they had just bodies everywhere that popped up out of the ground. So you have to have wisdom. All that is with you is bound to come to an end. I finish this right here. All right. We will get rewarded and compensated for the development of patience. We have a month of patience called the month of Ramadan. Very good. The Prophet said a Muslim gains the rank of fasting all the year and praying all the nights by dint, force, effort, and power of patience. Every time that you grow Islamically, it will be as a result of patience. I'm patient. I want to stop cursing. I don't curse, but I'm just giving you an example. I want to stop cursing. That's going to require patience. I want to stop screaming. That's going to require patience. I want to start giving. That's going to require patience, because when you go to pay the bills or you go to the Millennium Hall, you're not going to be able to buy 3 things. You might just be able to buy 1. Last slide for the day, probably because the prayer's at 1, right? Okay, I'm going to talk. Actually, we're going to stop here because I want everybody that can, inshallah, to pray. Prayers at 1 o'clock at the masjid. There are 27 times the reward for praying in Jama'at. So if you can, go to the masjid and pray and get those benefits. Take the patience to go to the masjid instead of racing home to eat. Be patient and get the rewards of Allah. I love you all for the sake of Allah.
Love you too.
Love you too. Thank you. That's the first. But that's not a first from her.